In 2020, we want peace of mind. We need smart systems we can trust. Technology that will take care of us.
Hello and welcome. I am GirlCam 2020, the first walking surveillance system. Let me show you how I operate.
There are 627,707 CCTV cameras in London. But how efficient are they? GirlCam 2020 patrols your streets, protects your home, recording every single moment for your total protection.
CCTV in operation.
For your total protection.
I am GirlCam 2020.
She is the future of surveillance technology.
Smile. You're on camera.
I am GirlCam 2020. Hackney.gov.uk/GirlCam 2020. Surveillance you can trust.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing? Thank
good.
you.
How are you?
I'm good. And believe it, I'm going to introduce myself and you. I hope everyone enjoyed that video. That was Camgirl 2020. Ozziline Bill is Camgirl. Girlcam, sorry. And Girlcam is a first generation surveillance cyborg. And I'm part of Hackney. We are a curated platform for limited edition photography prints, and kind of a relic of Girlcam 2020 is the edition that Ozziline Hackney, which is selling as part of the fair, so you can go check that out. But I'm going to be talking a little bit more to Ozziline about Girlcam 2020, the concept, like surveillance and all that. Just a little bit more about Ozziline. She's an artist of performance photography and media. Interesting boy and what it means in the age of neoliberal urbanism. So yeah, please tell us what a bit more about the concept of Girlcam and how it came about.
Yeah, sure. So when I started my photography BA a couple of years ago, I got really interested in the idea of surveillance and what that means in this current society. Where we're essentially all self-surveying all the time. And it kind of began from me taking photographs on the tube and someone getting really angry with me for doing that and kind of sort of saying that, you know, I have to get permission from every single person on the carriage if I'm going to take pictures of people. And then I was kind of thinking that that's quite a funny concept, considering that we're constantly being sort of recorded and our image is constantly surveyed, and we don't consider all those cameras that are surveying us. We just kind of allow it to happen, and you know, it's the same with the way we use our phones. You know, we're constantly surveying ourselves, but we never give consent to this. And then, you know, also like the way we use social media, our like Amazon accounts, using our laptops, all of these interactions that we have with these devices, you know, we don't question these because they're seen as sort of imperative modes of survival in contemporary society. So yeah, so you know, humans created the surveillance. We also like the concept of surveillance and the machines that are the surveillance, and then you know, we also participate in those forms of surveillance. So the idea was that, you know, surveillance kind of becomes an extension of us, and therefore humans are surveillance. So girl cam's sort of a product of that. You know, she's a walking surveillance woman. So yeah.
Yeah, really cool. It's interesting, like thinking about the idea of self-surveillance in relation to like cam girls on the internet. And I guess you've obviously flipped the name now of girl cam girls. And I'm just wondering what I.
Yeah, so cam girls, you know, cam girls are classed as sex workers who work online, who sort of perform to the camera and get paid for their performances by a predominantly male audience. So a lot of the time, cam girls perform a kind of hyper feminine version of female sexuality, and they're essentially then catering to the male gaze. And so the idea of girl cam is that she's, instead of being watched, she's sort of flipping this, and she is an all watching surveillance system. And then her like black sort of shiny body exterior resembles that of a dominatrix outfit. So and you know, a dominatrix symbolizes a figure of control. So girl cam, instead of like being controlled by the male gaze the way cam girls arguably are, girl cam is essentially, her gaze is controlling society. So that's the concept. And then it's also, what's also interesting is that, you know, girl cam, she does play on this idea of the commodification and the fetishization of the female body in advertising. So she's a surveillance product, essentially. She can be bought. This is the idea. And then, so yeah, her appearance is based on the most sort of ideal, the most perfect sort of female form in a way. And this kind of plays into the sort of advertising aspect, and how advertising sort of brainwashes us to think that we need something by creating this most ideal, most perfect product. So that's the relationship between cam girls and girl cam.
Yeah, you mentioned you're going into like the ideas of the gaze and saying that using that within your practice. Well, obviously, you're taking the gaze and bringing it a kind of digital meaning. And I was thinking, what does that mean for the gaze now within the world of technology and digital mediums? And like, should we be thinking more about the lens rather than the gaze, or do you see them as a similar part of the same narrative?
So, I mean, I guess the thing with the gaze is it's more than a physical look. It's about the perceptions that we project onto someone or something based on what that thing or that person is. And those are sort of perceptions that are formed by the dominant ideology, which is obviously predominantly a male constructed ideology because of the way the world is organized. So yeah, in terms of the lens, I don't really know if that can sort of be the sort of perspective component of the gaze, if that can sort of be compared to the lens, the perceptions that the lens gives, because I don't really know if the lens can give a perception. But yeah, I guess the way that sort of people perform to lenses now. So, you know, like if someone's doing a story on Instagram, everyone's suddenly, especially our generation, everyone's suddenly performing to that lens. And then I guess that changes the way people perceive that person. So yeah, I guess we kind of act up to the lens, and that probably changes the way we are perceived. So yeah, I guess in that sense, the technological lens can shift the gaze. Yeah.
I think you're right to say that the perception of the gaze is within the lens. I mean, the lens doesn't have that sort of autonomy that like the gaze has. But I think what is also about this, the kind of the technology, who owns the gaze? The gaze is there for the technological and digital. I feel like kind of and surveillance are a hold maybe over like our perceptions of the gaze or stuff like that. I think my Wi-Fi might be, I don't know, one of our. I'm gonna move into another room and then we'll be able to get
Okay.
better Wi-Fi because on that last question. Yeah, I don't know if you heard the last question, but I was just asking about Donna Haraway's Cyborg manifesto and whether that's influenced your podcast or so how.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Obviously, Donna Haraway's Cyborg manifesto is about the cyborg, and you know, as in a hybrid of a organism and a machine, which obviously Girl Cam is. She's part girl, part camera. But I think the main thing that I got from Haraway's Cyborg manifesto is more from like a socialist feminist point of view, because she talks about a post-gendered world, and I think, you know, Girl Cam, it says it in her name and her appearance, she's clearly gendered. So no, in that sense, but then also the Cyborg manifesto, it discusses the duality of a cyborg, and I think Girl Cam does represent this, both in her form, being part girl and part camera, but also kind of with that thing that we were talking about before with the gaze. You know, she's kind of she challenges the male gaze, but she's also a product of it, essentially. Yeah. So yeah, I think Donna Haraway's Cyborg manifesto definitely, because I actually read it sort of after the concept of Girl Cam came about, so I remember seeing specific points which really spoke to me in relation to Girl Cam, but I think it didn't influence the idea. It's influenced me as a person. So that's cool.
Definitely with the like the socialist outlook on it. It's really interesting to know that we like to bring that in within these like technology conversations and like advancements and to have that kind of values and going forward with it as well. I was going to ask, so what interests me about girls, how this like surveillance and consumerism interact, which you can even say is a further extension with the High Noon print as well. But I was just thinking on that note, is surveillance something being done to us, or is it something we're actively participating in and consuming?
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of both, really, isn't it? It's kind of like what I said earlier on about how Girl Cam came about. It's you know, we created surveillance, but we also are kind of victims of it in a way. And I think yeah, I mean, it's kind of mad how much it's obviously in our generation, we've probably kind of always known it. But, you know, my research that I've done, I know that it before the 90s, it didn't exist the way it does now. And it's not like a natural human thing to have. You know, we're not all seeing. That's not a human trait that we have. So yeah, I think it is kind of crazy now how people have, like, you can buy these like Amazon. I mean, you can buy, there's loads of brands, but I think Amazon is particularly one of these, like the most dominant brand, where you can buy sort of home surveillance CCTV cameras, and then you can sort of get the live stream and watch, like, you know, if you're a parent, you can watch your kids sort of doing stuff in your house when you're not there, which is, you know, that's super creepy. And really invasive, and it kind of brings the question of, like, why do we feel the need to do that? So, but then also I'm kind of like, I kind of love it, you know, I kind of love this like invasive thing that we've started, because that's what my work is about. So yeah, I think that you know, unless we sort of go off grid and move to one of these super rural areas, you know, because London is like one of the most surveyed places. But yeah, if we just go off grid completely, if we don't use a phone or a laptop, or if we use some sort of facial recognition disguise, that's the only way we can not participate in it now. It is our life, it is the norm. So yeah, we are actively participating in it, we are creating it, but we are also the victim of it. So yeah,
like talking about those Amazon, you know, like home surveillance things, it's like these things that we are kind of told that we need to make sure our lives are safe, you know, but meanwhile they're extracting that data. So it's not just you're watching your kid do that, you know, like then Amazon or the big corporation is watching that and they're just extracting through that. And it's very like Black Mirror. I don't know if you've seen that Mirror episode where the mom has, like, everyone can watch their kid. They have iPads that just track what their kid's doing all the time, and like obviously just like ends in catastrophe. But yeah, and like you said, like we're self-surveilling, and like through like Instagram, and like just kind of wanting to know where everyone is all the time. And there used to be that app like Find My Friends, and everyone just had their friends knowing.
That is mental. That one.
That was crazy. And also just like looking at the addition and like what you're saying about London being the most surveyed streets, it's like, you know, you can go on the government websites and find out like where crime is being committed in exactly which places and what types of crime and everything. And it's, I guess it speaks a lot about, you know, which sort of people are these surveillance kind of cameras and operations like targeting, really. And like obviously it just has the ability to be like very oppressive and discriminatory, which is, but I think with the way things are going, we can't just pretend that surveillance isn't going to happen. So stuff like girl cam that's provoking that, and just thinking about like how can we gain like, you know, surveillance that isn't discriminatory is something to really think about, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So obviously that was Girl Cam 2020. We're going into 2021. So thinking about like what are the next versions of Girl Cam? Will she upgrade? And also, will Cattle Cam's human capacity ever be surpassed by tech?
Yeah, I mean, she will be due for an upgrade in 2021, definitely. But you know, she is still the most effective surveillance system. So how much has to be changed in her upgrade is questionable, I would say. But yeah, I think I'm kind of interested in maybe her gender becoming more ambiguous. I'm kind of interested to see what that might look like.
That's really interesting.
yeah, especially now with the way we view gender, it, you know, it's starting to change. So I think that might be quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like the tech industry, the human robots that exist so far, they're not quite where Girlcam is in terms of her cyborg capabilities. So I think they have some catching up to do. Yeah, I would say that China's sort of governmental surveillance systems are the biggest competition right now. But you know, we'll see what happens.
No, bringing it's quite interesting, like even bringing up other kind of countries, different tech users of surveillance makes me think, you know, yeah, like is Girlcam going to try and like break into a different global market? Will we see her walking around other streets across Europe or further afield? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that she needs to get out of London, actually. Yeah, that's to come in 2021. Girlcam on tour.
Yes. Great. Well, we're like, I'm really excited to see where Girlcam goes. Like, you should follow Ozziline on like socials. It's at Ozziline Bill, I believe, and like her website, Ozziline Bill, to see what is coming next with Girlcam. Because yeah, I think like more performances would be super cool and everything like that. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on Girlcam. And also her amazing addition is part of High Noon and will be sold as part of the Horse Hospital Winter Fair. So please go check that out. And yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks Ozzy, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Brenna.
Sorry about the Wi-Fi issues, but I hope that's okay. I think we just say we just go. Yeah.
Ciao.
So
Thanks.
great chatting. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thanks everyone.